on me, and they be having my thing in their mouth. This is what I see. They be having this is my thing. This is my dick, and this they mouth. All on it. All on my, bro. Get off my dick, bro.
So the psychology around Claressa Shields has been under quiet observation for months now. Not because people are openly hating her, and not necessarily because they dislike her, but because they're confused by her behavior. And when confusion shows up consistently, that usually signals something deeper happening beneath the surface. Let's be clear, this is not a diagnosis, and it's not sympathy either. This is a behavioral analysis. Patterns don't lie, even when people do. When someone repeatedly confuses criticism with being attacked, attention with love, and visibility with self-worth, it often points to an internal imbalance driving those reactions. Claressa's issue doesn't appear to be confidence. It looks more like emotional containment. Highly successful people who never learn how to self-soothe often end up outsourcing their self-worth to the public. When the public response doesn't match their expectations, the emotional fallout begins. That isn't hate, that's psychology. For months, people have labeled Claressa as confident, but what if what we're actually witnessing is enmeshment? Identity confusion and external validation playing out in real time. What it looks like is a grown woman who allegedly struggles to separate friendships, romantic relationships, and her self-image, and that's where things start to blur. Before Claressa's current relationship with Papoose, many remember she was engaged to a man named Tony Rich. There were noticeable overlaps in timelines that raised questions at the time, and recently more insight into that relationship has surfaced. Tony Rich is a personal trainer from Flint, Michigan, and by most accounts, he fit a familiar archetype. Socially active, image-conscious, and very comfortable around women. They were together for roughly 4 to 5 years, while Claressa's career was rapidly ascending. Big deals, big money, and major visibility. Like other relationships tied to Claressa, Tony was reportedly involved with someone else when they met. Claressa allegedly entered the situation as the side woman before becoming the main partner publicly. What stood out then, and still stands out now, was the imbalance. Claressa was clearly the financial engine in the relationship. It's been widely discussed that she invested heavily in Tony, supporting his ventures, helping build his brand, and purchasing large assets. Whether that support was matched equally is something only those directly involved can answer, but the pattern feels familiar. This mirrors what many believe they're seeing now, a highly driven woman stepping into the provider role again, emotionally and financially investing in a man whose professional footing appears far less secure. In psychology, this is known as overfunctioning in romantic partnerships, where one partner compensates emotionally, financially, and structurally for the other.
Gotta have to make dunks with a little paisley print going on, and lots of pristine jewelers and Sam Diamond jewelers. Oh, my Van Cleefs.
To be that mother. Ooh, I'm gonna throw one to the back so y'all can. Oh goodness. And I got my Van Cleefs. Christmas gift from my man.
Looking at her situation with Papoose from the outside, Claressa appears to be the provider once more. There also seems to be a visible effort to compete and prove she is more desirable than Remy Ma. When someone already depends on external validation, that dynamic can become intoxicating. Building a man can feel like proof of worth. Earning love can feel safer than expecting it. And Claressa's background matters here. She came from a troubled environment where consistent parental support and affection were missing. And that kind of foundation shapes adult relationships. To be fair, Claressa is not an unattractive woman, but public perception carries heavy weight when someone is deeply affected by how they're seen. The issue isn't her appearance itself, it's how her behavior frames it. The energy, the wardrobe choices, and the public antics all undermine what could otherwise be appealing. From a psychological perspective, this aligns with compensatory behavior. A constant need to be perceived as the most dominant presence in the room, even when it comes at the cost of dignity or stability. That pattern tells the real story. Now, this is where the dynamic gets more layered, and I want to be very clear. What follows is alleged, shared by sources connected to the inner circle, and discussed strictly through a psychological lens. For a long time, people have talked about Claressa's stylist and close companion, Nigeria. She's always present. That's been a constant. Even members of Claressa's own family have publicly expressed discomfort with how involved Nigeria appears to be in her personal life. At one point, Claressa's sister Brianna publicly spoke out about Nigeria in a heated and emotional way. That moment caught attention not because of the delivery, but because it suggested deeper tension behind the scenes. According to one source, Nigeria was allegedly romantically linked to Tony Rich during the period when he and Claressa were together. That claim is unverified. However, a separate source, someone directly connected to both parties, alleges something different. This source claims that Claressa and Nigeria themselves were romantically involved. Again, this is alleged. The claim suggests that their bond went beyond friendship and professional closeness. The same source further alleges that Claressa brought Nigeria into her relationship with Tony as a third party. There were reportedly moments when people would come by Claressa's home and find Tony and Nigeria in bed together, while Claressa moved freely around the house as if this arrangement was normalized. Whether true or not, this allegation made certain long-standing questions click for a lot of people. If this scenario were accurate, it would point directly to relationship triangulation. That's a psychological pattern where intimacy is stabilized through a third person instead of built through direct emotional security between partners. And when you zoom out, this pattern doesn't stop there. If you look at how Claressa publicly validates her current relationship, much of that validation appears to run through comparison. Specifically through Remy Ma, the intimacy isn't just about the relationship itself, it's about positioning.
Everything I do, they're like, oh, she did this because of this person. She did that because of that person. If I wear my hair a certain way, if I wear some clothes, y'all say I'm copying somebody else. But then y'all say in the same breath, but she can't dress. Most of the stuff I go to the store and pick out myself and put it on. So I'm not copying nobody. But as far as in me rapping, go on my YouTube. I'm gonna put the link on here. I've been rapping for almost 3 years. I didn't just start this. I've been rapping. Why? Because I do what the hell I want to do. Like I've been doing what I want to do forever. I got rap videos. I've been in the studio. I got songs. I had a listening party the week of my fight. I do what I want to do when I want to do it. Nobody is making me do anything. And I'm not trying to be like nobody because, baby, GWOAT is original. The GWOAT is original. I'm the first woman to ever use the word GWOAT. I'm original in everything I do.
Another woman is almost always present in the emotional landscape, sometimes as a rival, sometimes as a reference point, sometimes as an unspoken benchmark. This would also explain Nigeria's continued proximity, not just as a stylist, but as someone deeply embedded in Claressa's private world. Not just business, but personal. When triangulation, enmeshment, and identity diffusion overlap, the result is often a relationship ecosystem built on secrecy, power imbalance, and fear of abandonment. So whether Nigeria is a keeper of secrets, a former romantic partner, or simply a symbol of unresolved attachment, her role matters. Healthy relationships don't rely on constant overlap, blurred boundaries, or unspoken arrangements. And from a real-world perspective, having another woman constantly present around your partner, in the house, at work, at the gym, and in daily routines, raises questions. Even if nothing inappropriate is happening, that level of closeness invites instability. This doesn't mean Claressa lacks strength. Her issue isn't power, it's security. And that insecurity appears rooted in early emotional experiences where consistency and reassurance were missing. Until that core issue is addressed, the same tension will follow her into every relationship, regardless of who the man is. Now, this is where the psychology really starts speaking clearly. Alongside these relationship dynamics, there's a visible pattern of mirroring behavior. For those unfamiliar, mirroring happens when someone feels unsure about their own identity, so they begin borrowing traits from someone they believe is already accepted, already chosen, already valued. So in Claressa's case, that borrowing appears to be coming from Remy Ma. This goes beyond fashion, though the similarities in styling are noticeable. It shows up in hair choices, presentation, body language, and how sex appeal is performed publicly. This isn't casual influence. This looks more like aspiration. Mirroring isn't about admiration. It's about seeking validation through resemblance. And when someone mirrors another woman connected to their partner, it usually points back to insecurity, not competition.
That girl gay.
Why you froze right there though? Oh, okay,
Ain't no trying, you doing it.
My friend has a present for you.
Give me 1 second. Hold on.
This doesn't make Claressa weak, it makes her human. But it does show a woman still searching for internal grounding, still measuring herself against external standards, and still trying to secure love through performance rather than stability. But here's the real issue, and psychology is very clear about this. Mimicry without embodiment never lands the same. When Remy does it, it feels natural, effortless, and fully aligned with who she is. When Claressa does it, it comes across forced, like a costume that doesn't quite fit. Forced sex appeal is not confidence, it's compensation. Another giveaway is the constant self-praising. Statements like, "I'm that girl" or "I'm unbothered," repeated over and over, are not signs of self-assurance. Psychology doesn't label that confidence, it labels it externalized validation. People who are truly confident don't need to announce it, they don't need to promote it, they simply exist. When someone is loudly branding themselves as sexy while quietly borrowing another woman's aesthetic, what you're seeing is identity diffusion. That's a shaky sense of self that depends on outside approval just to stay steady. And this is where Nigeria comes back into focus. If your stylist is also your closest companion, and that same stylist keeps presenting you in looks that resemble another woman tied to your relationship, it raises a very grown question. Is this genuine support, or is it sabotage wrapped in loyalty? A real friend doesn't style you into comparison. A real friend styles you into your own identity. So what role is Nigeria actually playing here? Because she's clearly involved in shaping the image being pushed out to the public. Here's the thing. Sexy is not something you have to declare. Sexy is something people decide on their own without being prompted. When someone works overtime trying to convince the public, most of the time they're still trying to convince themselves. Claressa does not lack talent. That part is obvious. Her accomplishments speak for themselves. What she lacks is grounding. And yes, a bit more social awareness wouldn't hurt either. But until she figures out who she is without measuring herself against another woman, every relationship and every outfit will continue to feel like an audition instead of an expression. This isn't about tearing her down. It's about pointing out that performance can never replace self-definition. And until that foundation is built, the cycle keeps repeating. Here's the real bottom line, and this is where everything connects. None of this exists in a vacuum. The relationship patterns, the image shifts, the public behavior, and the emotional reactions all point back to one core issue: a lack of internal security. When someone doesn't feel anchored in who they are, everything becomes external. Love becomes something to earn. Attention becomes something to chase. Identity becomes something to borrow. That's why the same cycles keep repeating. Different people, different settings, same emotional blueprint. The provider role, the comparison, the third-party energy, the constant need to prove desirability. None of that is about romance. It's about reassurance. It's about trying to quiet an internal voice that never fully settled. And when you live like that, relationships stop being places of rest. They become battlegrounds, performances, power plays. You're not connecting, you're competing, you're not loving, you're managing perception. Every interaction turns into a test of worth. This is also why public opinion hits so hard. When your sense of self is built on outside reaction, criticism doesn't feel like feedback, it feels like rejection. Silence feels like abandonment, and praise becomes a temporary high that never lasts long enough, so you keep chasing the next hit. What makes this sad, not funny, or messy is that none of this takes away from Claressa's accomplishments. Her talent is real, her discipline is real, her success is earned. But achievement cannot replace emotional grounding. Trophies don't teach self-worth. Money doesn't heal attachment wounds. Visibility doesn't resolve identity confusion. Without that grounding, even winning can feel empty. Even being chosen can feel unstable. Even being desired can feel unsafe. This is why comparison is so dangerous. The moment you measure yourself against another woman, especially one tied to your relationship, you've already lost your center. You stop asking who you are and start asking if you measure up. That question never has a satisfying answer. The truth is, security doesn't come from being the loudest, the flashiest, or the most talked about. It comes from knowing who you are when no one is watching. When there's no audience, no rival, no one to outperform. Until that work is done, the same patterns will show up again and again. New relationship, same tension. New look, same insecurity. New chapter, same storyline. This isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. Because awareness is the first step toward change, and without it, growth stalls. Strength isn't the issue here. Power isn't missing. What's missing is safety within the self, and until that is built, everything else will continue to feel like a performance instead of a life.